On today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to remove the sound deadening material on an Evo 10. There's plenty of methods on how to do this. You can use a heat gun, try scraping this stuff off, or what I found in the past a good method to use is the dry ice method. It was well over a decade ago when I did this on my blue car here, and back then YouTube wasn't quite what it was today, so all the information that we had out there was based on the forums, and it was pretty little. So back then I just used dry ice, but since then I've seen a method that also incorporates using alcohol as well with the dry ice, and supposedly it helps it a ton. So we're going to be doing that method, and I got to get a first little disclaimer out of the way. When handling dry ice, you definitely want to use gloves because this stuff is really cold. So make sure you have gloves, and you may want some safety glasses as well. That way you don't get this stuff in your eye when you're trying to break it down into little pieces. Alright, with that stuff out of the way, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about on the car. So this is a 2010 Mitsubishi Evo. This stuff right here is underneath the carpet on the vehicle, and the manufacturers, they put it on here basically so that way the road noises or anything while you're driving doesn't make it as loud in here, or make it sound like a tin can. On race cars though, you'll definitely see that people remove this stuff, and for good reason. I mean, it's, you know, I think with all this stuff in here, people have gotten maybe 20 to 30 pounds out of the car just by removing this stuff. So that's my reason for taking it out, is I'm trying to get this chassis down a significant amount of weight. And if you're daily driving your car, this may not be something you want to do, because it does hollow out the car and make it sound well, like a tin can. Alright, so what we're going to be using today is these blocks of dry ice, which we're going to have to use a chisel and a pretty heavy hammer to break it down into a fine powder. Also, I'm using 91% isopropyl alcohol. This you kind of pour over it, and supposedly it helps get all the cold down into the surface of the sound deadening material, deep down in there, and that way you can break it off with pretty large sheets. So we're going to give this a shot and see how this goes. Here I'm just crushing up the dry ice into a fine powder. That way I can cover more surface area. I purchased about 30 pounds of dry ice, but for the interior, I only used about 20 pounds. This stuff comes in 10-pound blocks and was about $1.70 a pound. One of the largest distributors for Las Vegas area is Reliant Dry Ice, and that is where I purchased mine. You used to be able to find this stuff at pretty much any grocery store, but now I think the only place that sells it is Smith's, and it's 2 or 3 times as much. The idea here is to spread this stuff around, and you can hear it working to delaminate the sound deadening material. When you no longer hear the crackling, it's safe to say you can start prying that stuff off. In order to be efficient with the dry ice, it's wise to move it to another area while you pry up the material that is ready. I'm going to speed up the process, so pouring the rubbing alcohol over the dry ice is really effective. On my blue car, I just used chunks of dry ice with no rubbing alcohol, and it wasn't coming off in large pieces. As you can imagine, it took twice the amount of time. For this project, I purchased two 16-ounce bottles of 91% isopropyl alcohol. 2 bottles was plenty for the interior of this car. can't do all that work and not weigh this stuff. Got this whole bucket right here that I already weighed, and it came out to about 10 pounds. And it's not even all of it, to be honest. There's still more in the trunk, but I have a lot of stuff in the trunk right now, so I'll have to get to it at a later date. Here you can see the results. Got most of it up. There is some that it's kind of embedded into some of the seam sealer, so it's a little bit difficult to get that stuff off. Just depending on how nitpicky you're gonna be with it. I mean, you can keep going at it and get it clean, but I just wanted to get as much of it out as possible, and I'm gonna end up putting the carpet back in over it, but I'm just trying to get as much weight out of this car as possible. Hope you guys found this video entertaining. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and also be sure to subscribe. There's going to be plenty more content with this car, but I wanted to pump this one out there because I know I didn't do this in the past, and I wanted to make sure I documented it for you guys. So there's going to be definitely more content on this build coming, so stay tuned. Alright, till next time, guys.